So I noticed that the movie is very European in terms of little dialogue. All the characters are defined by action, not exposition. So it was your intent was on purpose to do that?
Very much. Not in the sense of being European, but it is a European story.
Yeah.
But I think it's a universal story, and I wanted to tap the universal language of really the silent era. I'm a big fan of the silent greats, von Stroheim, Murnau, Cecil B. DeMille. I've always been very inspired by their work, and I wanted to try and strip this story from the usual Hollywood conventions, the usual theatrics. I really wanted to try and, I suppose, honor the fact that this is a real event, real people took place in, and so it's freighted with emotion. The story, I think, it doesn't need sentimentalizing. So I didn't want to create a film where people inspire empathy in the audience by talking about themselves and why you should care about them. I wanted to do a film that put them in a difficult physical position, a paradoxical, suspenseful situation, and so that the audience's empathy would be, as a result of that, more in I suppose more in a Hitchcock sort of way, where the physicality of the film and the suspense of the physical situation people are in is the reason you care about them. You don't want to be in their position, so you're following them with fascination.
It's interesting because you mentioned Hitchcock. He had a very smooth camera, so you chose to do it in IMAX, which is very unwieldy. So how do you merge the two of that?
Well, the size of the camera on the large format filmmaking, it is an issue, and you need careful planning, and you need a great DP like Hoyte van Hoytema to get that camera in the places it needs to be. But as a filmmaker, you can't help but look back to the greats of the past. David Lean making Lawrence of Arabia at 65 mil. I mean, his camera was bigger than our cameras, and he took it out into the desert. Took it all kinds of extraordinary places. We have huge resources on a film like this, and we're bringing hundreds and thousands of people to the set. We're building things. We're buying planes. We're renting boats. We're doing all this sort of stuff. So in a way, the camera should be the least of it. The camera should be the thing of, okay, now that we've gone to all this trouble to be in the real place with the real boats and the real planes and thousands of extras, we need the best possible camera there is. We need the IMAX film camera that can achieve the highest resolution, the best color reproduction of any format that's ever been invented. That's what we need to do to capture all this other effort that people have gone to.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the first 20 minutes it resembled me of the 400 Blows, because of basically this kid alone in a city.
Yeah.
So maybe neorealism, Italian neorealism.
Well, that's interesting. It's not a connection I'd made, but I had actually watched 400 Blows right before we made the film. It's true. So I guess it worked its way in. I think anything I've ever seen as a filmmaker where people aren't talking, it immediately makes you lean into the imagery and look in the frame in a different way. And that is very exciting to me when I see that in other people's films. And I wanted to really try that. And I wanted to have a young, open face. Finn Whitehead, was this guy we found who'd never really done anything. He was 18 years old. That's the right age. That's the age that some of these guys were when they were sent over to France. That's the way we fight our wars. And I wanted to be truthful to that, and I wanted to have a face on screen that you would lean into and follow and care about immediately, just because of the, in a way, the naivete or the very humanity of the face.